You're now about to go deep with Dan Good.
Here we go. Pete, how you doing, my man?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So what have you been up to? Looking like you've been pretty busy lately?
Yeah, really sort of, dive straight into the personal development as hard as I could, especially the past year since we saw each other.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, getting a random call today.
I know. Yeah, last minute call.
Yeah.
You want to come on the podcast?
Out of the blue, but this is the stuff that really motivates and inspires me. And, I thought this is a great opportunity to talk, because normally our deepest talks are at the gym.
Oh, man, at the gym, wasting time in between sets.
Yeah.
More like you come in for your workout, I'm halfway through, and then it takes an hour later and we start training again.
Exactly. All that time I came in with my partner, Alison, and I started talking to you for 40 minutes and went home.
That's right. She worked out, right? And
Yeah.
you just worked out the biggest muscle in your body, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The mouth.
the best session I've ever had.
Hey, it's what I'm good at as well, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what birthed the podcast.
Yeah, I love it. I love the setup. It's really cool to be here, actually.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you've been working on your personal development. I know you've created something recently.
Yeah, the Perfect Partner program. So this has really stemmed from, I would say, the past 5 years of heavy personal development I've been involved in. And it kind of came to me one day when I was watching one of my coaches. I was just watching a video of his, and it kind of hit me. I thought, well, I seem to really compile a lot of information around dating and relationships, but why don't I put something together that could really help people? Because it's something I struggled with for many, many years, probably through my teens and my 20s, in terms of having the self-worth and self-confidence to talk to someone I was interested in, or even, having the tools and resources available to overcome certain things and certain issues in my mindset. And so I kind of just thought, well, it's time that we put something together. I put something that's a bit more practical, that's grounded, instead of just telling people, oh, you just push through your fears, just get over it, you'll be fine. That's sort of the advice I was given. And also understanding that working on yourself first is the most powerful thing you could do to attract someone special, when previously it was always trying to find something external that would solve the problem. Yeah. Like getting the better clothes or getting a haircut or whatever, which all does help, by the way.
Yeah,
but
of course.
When
you got to have style, right?
You got to have some style. You can't just wear, crap clothes and go out to a cool, go out and hope it's going to work out for you. But so I just thought it was critical to put some of my deeper learnings around patterns and why people repeat patterns and where do fears and anxieties come from, and why do we even have those things that hold us back, and what can we do practically, literally, by sitting down and going column A, B, C, D, or whatever it is, and working through that.
Yeah.
And these are things that really, really work, because I've been using them for years and years and years. It requires a different mindset approach to how you usually encounter problems.
Yep.
Normally, like I said, people would just be like, oh, just overcome it or push through it, or what. It's no, there's a reason why that anxiety exists.
And why these things happen, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a learning. And a lot of the times that we encounter sort of the same people in our lives, especially with patterns, they are there to teach us something. As cheesy as that sounds, they are there to show us something about ourselves that we're not willing to recognize, or that we need to flesh out, even if it's something from our past with our mum and dad.
Yeah. It's always a painful thing to try and flesh that out, and it's hard to confront it. It's easy to just say, oh, it'll go away, or look at the negatives in the situation that just end up coming up and rearing its ugly head later on down the track.
Exactly. Yeah. Not focusing on the negatives is probably one of the first things, to literally just change the question and go, what are the benefits of that?
Yeah.
What did I gain from that?
What can I learn from this situation to build better for the next time, and I won't make that mistake again?
Exactly. What are the learnings?
Yeah.
That's sort of, in a way, one of the very first processes I'll take people through. And also getting just comfortable being single. I had a real problem with that, and no one had even come up to me and said, the fact that you have so much anxiety over being single is pushing people away. And that needy energy, that desperation is causing the opposite effect.
Yes.
So I get people through a process, and through a module I just explained that getting comfortable, seeing the value of being single is what I call that particular module. And
being comfortable with yourself and being alone, and really embracing that.
Absolutely. And seeing how the goals you currently have and the things you want to achieve, how being single actually serves that. It doesn't detract from it. Yeah. The idea that you can get value within yourself, you don't have to have someone to get value from. You don't need to be with someone to have that completeness, as people put it. You know what I mean?
It's a big thing, isn't it? Because you see people get into relationships and things like this, and they really don't last long at all, which is obviously birthing the perfect partners formula. But you see it and it doesn't last. And it's like they're looking for certain, they blame certain things, you know, when really you got to look within yourself and things that you're doing wrong, and maybe that you're not, you know, that comfortability with being alone, like you say, is something that you have to come to terms with and really be confident at doing. And then it's just something that you attract afterwards. Like it's a very attractive quality in someone that's confident and comfortable with being in their own skin.
Yes.
It tends to attract people, which, hey, I didn't learn that straight away either, you know, learn that through a lot of mistakes, as you pointed out earlier.
Absolutely. You've had patterns, haven't you?
Oh,
You've seen repeating patterns.
Oh, for sure. And I really realized that, you know, it's that thing, like it attracts certain people, that there was the ones that you know, like ladies that are, you know, dating or what have you. And I wasn't so like, oh my God about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was great, you know, like you love the connection, love being with someone for obvious things, you know, sexual relationships, things like that. But then it's like, it needs that little bit more. And the ones that I found that I came across, which I often spoke to you about, every time I seen you, there was another story about something.
I just knew it had a brace for it.
We'd dissect it, you know, and I have a couple of friends I do that with, you know, but you help each other, you got each other's backs. But like the ones that I really liked, I'm like, oh my God, like I like this one, you know, like this is the one. And then you end up just pushing them away because of somewhat of that needy energy, or they know that they've definitely got you around their finger, what have you, you know, there's certain ways with it, and it ends up pushing them away, you know, and you got to let people have time, have space, the affection grows stronger, you know, and it brings them in until you eventually, you know, open them up and, you know,
absolutely
things go down.
And I just want to touch on that early stage of a relationship, the infatuation stage, the honeymoon period. Yes. Because what ultimately that is you're seeing just the good in the person. You overlook a lot of the bad, okay? And some people will say, I'm dating someone new, and go, oh, okay, what don't you like about him? Nothing. I love everything. And I love the way they choose.
Infatuated with the positive things.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, there's over 4,600 traits in the Oxford Dictionary, okay, and we have every single one of them. And the point of that is, when you see someone and they're loving and sweet and caring and nice and beautiful and all these things in that first few months, they have the exact opposite as well in their personality. You're just not willing to see it, or you haven't seen it yet. And that's what infatuation is. You just think somebody's all good, no bad. It's not the truth whatsoever. And also there is a drawback to being so infatuated, you know, like for example, you might lose yourself in a relationship, which I think you may have had that happen, where you kind of realize you're not being yourself anymore and you're sacrificing yourself a little bit for someone.
Oh, and that's not just like a sexual relationship or anything. Like with friends, I think I've felt that before as well. Like giving way too much to it, and it's not, you know, the given even flow, you know, like giving back as much as you put in, you know, and you realize that later on, like when you're always putting yourself out there for someone and it's not exactly returned in the same favor, then you start to really realize who your real friends are and the people you want to be around, you know. But I think that comes with age and experience as well as learning all that.
100%. Yeah. And you can judge by that how much they value you, because you're putting in this certain amount of work. You're seeing it's not coming back. You're not getting a fair exchange for your time and for your effort. And maybe you value them more than they value you, or maybe you feel you're getting something out of the relationship that they're not. Do you know what I mean? There's an imbalance of power almost in that situation.
And that's when you can consciously pull back your energy, and you see if they start trying to contact you. You know, you can apply that with friendship and with dating as well, because I know that one, the old takeaway, or the, you know, pull back and just, you know, see how much the attraction is there. And how much they miss your energy, you know, being around yourself and what you do. And then, you know, it obviously gets people a chance to miss you. And then, you know, whether that affection grows a different level or it just subsides, and then you don't really hear from them again, and you know, well, that wasn't meant to be.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you just got to let those things go.
You do. And then talk about them with your gym bros.
Yeah, that's the one.
I will say
gym therapy.
What you just said is 100% correct. And that is one thing that I really learned recently was people can come into your life and then leave after 3 weeks, 3 months, a year. And it's best not to judge that. It's best to see what you took away from that relationship. Yeah. And I know it's easier said than done later down the line, but you've met people who have gone, oh, you know, that had a really tough relationship, but geez, I learned so much from that person. Or just, I'm so glad I had that experience with them. And getting that, understanding that there's two things at play here. You can have things from your past that might be affecting who you're attracting, and that's why you keep attracting the same type of people, because you've got to work through things, from past relationships or mum and dad and things like that. Or you just have people coming in and out to teach you things. And I think awareness is huge in personal development. It's not just about this practicality, the workbooks that I've created and the workbooks that are available out there. It's about being aware of what's going on so you can then delve in and sort of work through it.
Yeah.
Instead of being sort of oblivious, going, why do I just keep attracting the same thing over and over? And it's so unfair, and just blaming.
Repeat those patterns.
Yeah.
That's something that I think most people do, is they just constantly repeat it. And like you just said then, you're attracting the same people, the same females or the same male, what have you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's a trap that I think everybody's fallen into at some point, or still revolving door of those feelings. But I think it also comes with one, it's hard for people to look at themselves objectively, I guess, and be really vulnerable. Most people, and especially a lot of males as well, will find that being vulnerable, they see it as a weakness, when really it's the biggest strength of all. Being able to delve in within yourself and putting it out there and talking to people or talking to your partner or what have you, and talking through things rather than just shoving it down, deep within, and then it rears its ugly head at some point, and it's obvious it's generally a lot more aggressive than what it should be, and then however you relieve that and that comes out, and then you realize later down the track that you're like, oh man, I really screwed that up, if I had to talk through this, and then you try again, try to connect, and it's just you've probably played your cards,
Absolutely. When you suppress things, they come out in other forms.
Oh yeah.
And you'll find yourself in strong emotional imbalances. So you'll have the highest highs and the lowest lows. And so people, I guess you could call that bipolar to a degree. Bipolar is just going from positive to negative all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I sort of say it or use that term. But one of the most powerful things you can do is, like you said, flesh things out and work through them, because I'm a very practical person, as you know. I love the idea of going back and fleshing things out from my childhood or from past relationships and just going, let's just put it on the table. What is it that I'm holding on to? What keeps triggering me over and over and over specifically? And let's get through it. So I don't want it to run me anymore, because these things run your life.
Oh yeah,
right. And you make decisions throughout your day and your weeks based on all these past things that keep sort of chipping at you. And I think that's a huge waste of time and space in your mind when you could be focusing on such larger things, like big goals you want to achieve.
Exactly, and that's something, especially for males, to have a purpose. Have something that you're striving for, rather than just. And I've been guilty of it. Like I've always had that, but it's when a female comes around, or whatever your partner is, but in my case, a female, and you're really attracted to them, and all of a sudden, I've been guilty of, especially when I was younger, like you drop everything and you just start being infatuated by that thing, and then when it goes away, what are you left? You're standing there with your dick in your hand, pardon for a better term, and you're just like, oh my God, what happened, and yeah, that's something that you really you have to look at, and
that's losing yourself. That's what we touched on before.
Yes. So
losing yourself.
Purpose and drive is a core ingredient, I think, for anybody, male or female. But I know, speaking from a male point, is it's very important, and it's also a very attractive quality too. And someone they're attracted to, that drive. You're like, look at this, man, got the hustle on, going for it, really achieving goals, and that's an awesome thing. Look what I've done, from this year to this year, you're constantly growing and having those goals and having those obtainable goals as well, not just always that big end picture, but you have those little goals along the way. And then you look back and you're like, wow, I've really gone somewhere this year, with what I've been doing. It may be month to month, week to week, day to day goals, but they're little achievable goals, which is something I know you've touched on with the what's the method that we were talking about? DeMartini method. Which is really really has a lot of that going on, and there he goes. Side guy's got it up on the Google there.
Method. I mean, so it's really 1,000 uses. It's absolutely true. It's the most powerful method I've ever seen in all of my sort of exposure to personal development. Yeah. It is a very intensive tool. It is you put in the work, and the work will work, is what he says, okay. So you sit down and you work and you answer questions 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times if you have to. And it's really rebalancing your perceptions in what's occurred in your life. So you will label something as bad, Okay. The reality is it's neither good or bad.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people will jump up and down when I say that because they're like, but this person hit me and this person did that and this person did that. That is a one-sided awareness. And I know it's tough to sort of some people to hear that. I get it. It's quite polarizing to say that. But I've gone in and really found moments in my life where, I have been, beaten by a parent, or I have been screamed at, or I have lost a job, and where it seems to be bad, you go in and you find the good in a way, and you go, what are the benefits of that occurring? Or if it happened the way I wished it happened, what would the drawbacks have been?
Yeah.
So you can sort of see that if it happened the way you wished it happened, the fantasy way, that's not great either. But going back to planning and purpose, you couldn't have been more correct. Having a purpose that inspires you and motivates you, your unique life's purpose, is in my program, I say it's the number one way to become more attractive to whoever you want to date. Is finding the purpose, creating a plan, empowering all the areas of your life. So Demartini talks about the 7 areas of life. And if you can go in and figure out what you want to specifically accomplish in all those areas and break them down into yearly, quarterly goals. So I currently do quarterly goals, which are then broken down into monthly. And those monthly are broken down into weekly most of the time when I can. And I went back and looked into last year's goals, and I couldn't believe how many things I achieved. And it was just because I really wrote them all out at the start of the year. I was like, I want to do this, this, and this.
So are you avidly going back to your list and actually looking at what you've done at a certain point, or do you find that kind of halts your progress? So you just keep smashing it out, and all of a sudden you look back and, a few weeks or months time and you say, oh, wow, I did really achieve all that? Or are you keeping yourself quite honest with what you're looking at to keep you on track?
I like to look at it as often as possible. I'm not going to sit here and say I do it every day. At least once a week, I'll go into my yearly planner and I'll say, okay, so these are the major goals I set for the quarter. Where am I at with that? And I've got personal development goals I want to do. I've got financial goals I want to hit and things like that. And it sort of, for me, it actually just pushes me along instead of going, well, I've written them out day 1 of 2020. I'll see you at the end of 2020. It's just, you'll forget sometime and you won't have accountability, because who's really going to keep you accountable to achieve your own goals?
You have to keep yourself accountable always. You can't depend on someone else to do that, because that's just, once again, putting your energy into someone else and hoping that they're going to keep you on track, which never really works unless you've got a coach that, beats it into you all the time, and not literally, I mean. But,
probably not the most productive way to get results out of someone.
Probably wasn't the best way to say it, but
But a coach, you know what? It's an option. I see a lot of people who are almost a little bit hesitant to put money into personal development, especially coaching. I've had hundreds of hours of coaching because I want to find people who have done more, achieved more. Guys like Dr. John Demartini and a few of the other personal coaches I've engaged. I like to explore that and pay for these people and get their time and find out, what have you done that's different? Like, why have you accomplished that, and why am I not there yet? Like, give me the information. So that's something I've really explored probably the past 4, 5, even 5 years. I've gone through numerous coaches, and there's one at the moment that we worked closely together. I don't actually ever want to stop getting coached, to be honest. I mean, there's always going to be someone with more results. Has to be, So, and books, I know books are a great entryway. You start with books and audiobooks and seminars and things like that. And then you can delve into coaching if it interests you.
I've found audiobooks, phenomenal. There's definitely like one around that, what we're speaking about now, relationships, finding your own purpose, overall understanding yourself and where you sit within yourself, and being honest with yourself about how, like you've approached relationships and things like that in the past. And that's Corey Wayne, 3% Man. And I think I said something to you about that a while ago, but a friend recommended that to me a couple of years back after, certain things go down with, I think I've spoken to you about it before, but that was a real wake up call for me. And I was like, because I was just like to him, I can see these patterns, I know I'm getting better, but there's these repetitive patterns that I keep seeing, and I got to change something, because it keeps happening every time I find said female that I'm really, really interested in, and then I end up pushing them away a little bit or something along those lines. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And he finally, I wish he goddamn told me this like years before the occasion, because we used to have these chats like you and I have all the time. Really, really good friend of mine, one of my best mates. And but he referred me to that, and that was quite life changing, I would say. And then I in turn referred other people to it that have been just just as thankful as I was. And I think that's the whole idea of it.
Here we go.
Side guy grinning away there.
Side guy loving the book.
Oh man, several people, but that's the thing that you find it and they're interested in it for about 5 seconds, but you really realize the people that are interested in self-development, like you, like me, and like Side Guy here, is that they take it on board straight away, you know, and they're deep in it, and then they're saying things to you and you're having these conversations about it and you're really learning from each other as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I found that one very good. I know you can get the free audio book on Audible, you know, because you get, you know, a certain one free first when you sign up. But that one's been great. But I don't know, have you looked at that at all? Or
I got it after we spoke about it.
Okay.
Probably read the first, realistically, half of it. I had read a lot of similar stuff back when I was 22, 23.
Okay, yeah, I think there's a few going around, obviously, with everyone's a self-development guru these days, a life coach. But
he was very focused, obviously, on, you know, doing the right things to attract someone and becoming sort of a confident man, you know, becoming more kind of empowering that alpha state of yourselves.
Yeah, finding your own energy, you know, and that, it's definitely driven more towards the sort of alpha male, masculine energy, you know, things like that, but also understanding the feminine energy and, you know, the relationships and things like that and what you're trying to attract. Yeah. But I mean, I will say it starts off at start, I was like, this is a little misogynistic. It felt like, you know, just slightly a little bit, but you give it time and you understand, you know, from a standpoint of looking back in this, like, not judging it, you know, and things like that. And you can get a lot from it. But so you've created your own perfect partner program.
The
Triple P.
The PPP.
Yeah.
By PP.
That's right. There you go. Life-changing steps to attract your perfect partner.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting when you get in and develop a program because, like I said, every time Dick and Harry is launching a product, you know, and it's of course it's difficult, but the fact that I felt inspired to do it, I thought, we'll just see where it goes. But I'm at the very early stages in sort of developing my name and getting myself really out there. And that takes time. That can take 2 years.
It's hard these days. You know? Like, because there's, like you say, there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of people trying to do these things. Look at that handsome devil right there.
Not Photoshop, by the way. genuine
just
profile.
all genuine, no filters.
No
there
filters,
you go, you
nothing.
Instagram hacks. It's time for you to unleash your dating potential.
Yeah.
I like it. I've read up a bit on it.
Okay, great.
I still need to do more, but I felt for this, you know, from someone coming into this and listening to the podcast for the first time, I can ask you a lot of questions, you know, that I would be as a willing participant in the program and interested in it. So if you could give us a basic rundown on how it's structured and what you can get from it. And
Absolutely. The overall structure is some modules are me speaking to the camera, just giving you knowledge. And I've also brought on board Georgia Mornea. She's a mindset specialist and a self-empowerment coach and also a qualified DiMartini facilitator. And there are modules where her and I will sit and speak about things around patterns and getting over the X's, how to get over X's, how that is so empowering, cutting that connection, that energetic tie. There are modules that are very practical based, where in one I get people to acknowledge what fears they have. And I mean fears from the very beginning, even before you approach someone, which are the fears I encountered as a guy. Fear of being rejected, fear of someone laughing at you, fear of being insulted, all of these things, right through to actual relationship fears of being hurt, fear of
being the main one. That's probably the antagonist to most of those things. Yeah,
exactly. And you go through and list all those out. There is then a process you go through to conquer the fears, eliminate the fears, dissolve them, or whatever you want, or whatever word, doesn't really matter. But at the end of it, you don't have that anxiety when you're put in a situation that normally triggers you. It's gone. It's completely gone. So I had to use that process to release the program because I had so many fears around releasing. I had severe anxiety. I can
understand that. Yeah,
you know, being seen, putting myself out there, coming out of obscurity, as one of my coaches once said.
You're not a huge social media guy,
No, it was a shock to me. You know, and to go, okay, I'm going to put this out there. There's going to be hate because there has to be. For every person that likes you, there is a hater. 100% is just the way it works.
It's that yin and yang effect, the balance.
Exactly, the perfect balance, perfect order. But as I think maybe Grant Cardone said, said, or it was maybe Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk, I think, he said, go and get your first 10 haters, because if you get your first 10 haters, you'll have your first 10 followers.
Exactly, man. I was talking about that on the podcast, the first one I did with Anissa.
Really?
Yeah. We're just like, we know, as long as you watch him, doesn't really matter. You can hate all you want, but at least it's another viewer to the count. It's more eyes on the thing. They're talking about it, even if they're hating about it. Other people are hearing it, they'll go check it out for themselves.
Exactly. I'd rather them talk about it, hate on it, than just being in,
not watch it
being
at all,
in a
right?
room being in my unit, just kind of wishing I had something out there for people to talk about. But the thing for me was, I got to a turning point where it was more important that I created something to help people, because for a long while there, if I was to be honest with you, I didn't really care about creating something to help people. I didn't really see the value in why would I go out there and create this for someone else? I've spent 5 years collating this information. I've spent, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But then it really got to a point where I was just like, but what is the value in helping people? And I actually sat down and really thought about it, and got to a point where it really got to me. I know it sounds odd, but I just said, if I'm not going to care about people enough to help them, I'm just going to stay in obscurity forever.
Yeah.
And I'll never release anything.
Yeah.
And so when I built this, I always at the forefront was like, is this going to help people? Is this going to really get people to the next step? I don't want them to just do it. How many times have you bought a course? I know I have. I seriously spent money on good money on courses and just did them, but some of them didn't even finish them.
Yeah.
I don't really want people, to do that with this. I want them to go through the process, and at the end be like, hey, this literally changed my energy. I have either found someone, or I now realize why I do certain things when I go on dates, or why I have a certain mindset around dating. Because I talk about fantasies a lot, because when we were young, a lot of our parents, grandparents, whatever, they inject these really crazy fantasies, like you're going to marry the first person you meet, and you're going to live forever, happily ever after.
Which
and
how it was back in the day, or how you look on a Disney movie or most movies these days forever it's been that, perfect thing with the guy next door and the girl next door, and they liked each other from afar. And then eventually he makes a move or she does it, it's,
and they're perfect together.
Yeah, and it's hard because you can learn a lot of good things from movies on a lot of aspects, in general. I know I personally have, whether they come great in real life or not, but there's been some things really around relationships and the guy-girl energy, or guy, girl, whatever you want to, whatever your fancy is. Yeah, your flavor, yeah. And it's generally creating a false perception a lot of the times, because there is general aspects and things like that in movies where it's just not the way it is in real life.
No.
It's perfect and it hits those notes, feels. And it gets the people in, because they see themselves in these characters, which is what movies are great at doing, and good acting and everything. But that's, like I say, it's not necessarily the way it is in real life. You find that out the hard way if you're outside someone's window and you're throwing little pebble stones, and just come down.
Exactly.
Then the cops come.
You end up in jail for love.
Stalking. That's what it's called.
But you ever do anything for love, Dan?
I've never done that.
Even if it's holding a boombox.
Maybe I have done weird things like that before. So most of the work, but
to be honest, you should just be doing podcasts talking about your dating life and your past.
Oh my God!
You do you do a 30-hour podcast.
I could do it by myself. I don't know if anyone's going to watch it. They'll be laughing their ass off at it. But
there's some good stories in there, though.
Oh man, I got stories. I got stories.
There's some really crazy stories, and I think with fantasies, especially things like, I will meet the first person and marry them, and dating is easy, and relationships are easy, and it gets people so disillusioned at the moment they meet someone who challenges them. And by the way, we're supposed to meet people who challenge us so we can grow.
And it brings the best out in you, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of embracing that and going, oh, what's that person here to teach me? This could be a growth experience. Like, oh, this is hard. See ya. No, because what you're looking for is impossible. It doesn't exist. Could you imagine if you were with someone, always sweet, always nice, always this, always lovely? You'd be bored out of your brain.
Oh yeah,
right. You wouldn't want any of that.
Oh no, I love to be challenged. Yeah, I love to be challenged in life, and especially by a female partner.
But too much challenge leads to burnout. Okay, so you want a balance of both.
Yeah.
Okay, so as Alison and I always talk, because she's into personal development as well. Alison, my partner, if I haven't mentioned that. We are aware of what's going on in the dynamic because of the work we've done. So there are times she challenges me, and I'm just like, okay, too much. You did just too much challenge right now.
Back up, ladies.
Just back up. I can appreciate you challenging me, but it's too much right now. But at least we can sort of see it. And there are times that
you're
I
communicating
want support.
that's exactly it. And if you don't say anything, you just react negatively to that situation, it's only going to, bring growth to the negative energy that's surrounding it. But if you address it, you talk about it, you actually connect, then you can work through it.
And you can grow together.
And that's a great relationship right there.
Exactly. And it goes back to self-awareness. What ultimately this program does is it gets you thinking about things you may have never thought about, get you more self-aware. And so you can sit there and go, oh my gosh, I do have those fantasies, or I do have those infatuations. I do have this obsessive behavior or whatever I do. Or the moment I meet someone, I just go too hard, too quick, and I lose myself. And then I turn around and resent them. Because what happens is you lose yourself, you put someone above you, you think they're better than you, and you sacrifice yourself, and then you just resent them for it. You're like, you changed me. No. You change yourself relative to them. That's what typically
for the situation
for them.
That pedestal thing, right? Putting a lady on a pedestal,
and
you're the one sitting underneath it. And when it falls down, it's going to be crumbling on you.
Exactly,
not them.
No, exactly.
They'll just climb back up.
Yeah. They don't. It doesn't bother them because they were the overdog. They had the power.
Yeah,
right? And
you gave too much energy and power in that situation when it should always, if it can be 50-50, right? I mean, that's the perfect world, but it's not always perfect, No,
it swings. Yeah, it swings. Yeah. But you want, you got to just be aware, at least if you meet someone and they're a little disempowered, as if, I guess I'm going to use the word needy, but it's the closest thing I can think of right now, where they kind of want a lot from you. They kind of see they're trying to trap you because they think you've got something they don't, that, you know what I mean? And then the power dynamic's way off.
Well, they're taking your energy away just to boost them up, which is something that's very, hard to deal with,
draining.
And you see a lot of relationships like that and that just swings so much, like 80-20, 20-80, all the way, and that is just emotionally and physically draining.
It kills you. And I was with someone probably when I will take a guess and say 25 years old, and I'll leave her name out even though she won't be watching this, but
you never know.
You never know. Hey. So we dated not for very long, but now that I look back, I have a better understanding of what was going on in that situation. Yeah. So what I was doing, I completely sacrificed myself for her. I would be, what does she want? How can I make her happy? What does she need? And it absolutely turned into a situation where I was burnt out. I was tired. I resented her. And at the end, she cheated on me anyway, which was understandable because I wasn't being strong and I wasn't standing my ground and I wasn't being my true self. And also to add to that, I didn't know what I wanted out of life as well. I mean, I might have been in construction making what's considered good money or whatever, but I gave too much of myself to her, and she was the overdog and she took advantage of it. But now that sort of stuff makes sense. But that's a great experience. That's a good example of me going back. I did go back and look at that relationship, and I'm so grateful it happened, because I, after that, sat down and said, what do I want out of a relationship? I kind of thought what worked and what didn't work with her. What do I want now moving forward? Yeah. I got a bit clearer with that after that 6 months.
Was that tough for you to go back and have a look at that?
I think
you were at a point in your life where you were ready to face it.
I was good. Yeah, I'd already worked through some issues with mum and dad. The dad stuff was probably the heaviest stuff. I went to DeMartini's breakthrough experience back in 2016. He came to Brisbane, and in that 2-day seminar, you face the biggest negative challenge. I'll just call it the negative challenge. The person that you're most negatively charged towards, that you resent the most, that you hate the most, whatever it is, and you sit there and you work on that person for 7-8 hours, whatever it is, till midnight.
There's nowhere to hide in that circumstance.
No, and you're not allowed back in the room the next morning till you have a breakthrough, and a breakthrough is getting to a point of gratitude. That's what a breakthrough is. And I did that on my dad, and I worked through some of the things with him. And since then, that was 3 years ago now. So when I went back and looked at that relationship, it wasn't very hard. It was more, I could see it more. I just look at things more, like I said, more practically, not emotionally, and I get that's a huge shift for a lot of people. It's hard. Yeah. Right. I don't know how you find going back and digging and going, this person did this. Let me see the good in that.
Like you said, I'm pretty open to growth. I know now you have to do these things to actually, flesh them out and get over them, because you're still holding some resentment to certain situations or bad energy, and the day that you can go and let that all go and just move on with your life, and for the better and go for what you're looking at, then it makes things a lot easier. But initially that would have been very hard. I'm trying to remember back when I did that, but it's probably been in the process of when I moved over here, you know, for me personally, coming from, you know, a relationship that kind of fell apart, and that was a really tough one, you know, probably I would say probably first love, you know what I mean? And that was a real stage for me of rebuilding myself and realizing what I wanted to do, you know, moving to Australia here and figuring that out. You know, that was tough, but coming over by myself, no family, no nothing over here, if you know what I mean, and just putting myself right in that situation in the deep end, you know, sink or swim, and the best comes out of you, because I found a passion, something like I started, you know, working out in the gym, getting a lot of self-confidence back, started going out a bit, you know, meet a lot of people, you know, me, Chatty, Kathy a little bit. So it's easy to make friends, but yeah, you know, and then, you know, found my passion for acting and filmmaking, and that lit a real fire. And I realized that was something that I wanted to do all along. I just hadn't the confidence in myself, didn't think it was possible, because I constantly, you know, you get told by friends and things like, you're not going to do that. You know, that's so far-fetched, you know, and it's just a small mentality to have. And I sort of got to the point of, why not? Why can't I have these things? Why can't I be an actor? Why can't I be in these big films? Why can't I be an action star? Why can't I do this? You know, and it's just like, instead of, you know, worrying about that, it's just like, well, how can I make it happen? You know, and look at those little things and stepping stones and what you need to do to progress, and you talk to people and you network and you build, you know, from there. But definitely. Looking back, I would say, because I had to get over that situation properly, because it weighed me down so heavily at the time and was stopping me from going further in these situations and in life, you know, and what I wanted to achieve. So I had to address that. And also, acting's a tough thing. You have to draw on these experiences, otherwise, because you can see that it's weighing you down on screen. You know, the camera does not lie, and that's for an absolute fact. Yeah. And you use these situations in life, you irk them back up to actually be an accessible emotion for you to portray certain characters and emotions and characters. So it's a really fucked up thing. It's why so many actors, and the best ones, are always goddamn crazy, because it takes a crazy person to want to do that sort of thing, you know, and be doing it as an art form and putting it on screen for the whole world to watch, if you're lucky enough, you know, for everyone to see it. It's a crazy thing, man.
It is. And I guess in some of the things I'm talking about releasing the emotions, getting to a point of gratitude, seeing the other side, there are certain things you may choose as an actor to hold on to, because you use them as tools to get you into state for 100%. Roles. Yeah. So I think that is true for Alison too. You know, she's just some things there she wants to just hold, because it gets her into state really quick.
Yeah. You know? It's a bonkers thing, really, when you think about it like that, especially when you're aware of it. You just push it aside just down there and you leave it for an accessible time for you to use it. And you have what it is like triggers, obviously, like with things that you push down as a person just normally in life, they trigger you, you know, when something happens, you like, it takes you back to that situation and you act accordingly, you know, and it can be to the negative in the situation. And that's what it's like, but it's about harnessing those things and putting it out there. And it's not an easy thing to do, but that's exactly what actors do, you know?
Absolutely. I just want to go back. When you said you moved to Australia, you came alone and you're pretty much starting from scratch. Yeah. Was the catalyst the breakup with that first love? It
was something that I always wanted to do, was come over here and check it out. And I came over, I think maybe a year or so before that, with a good mate of mine, Luke. And we were over here for New Year's and stuff, had an absolute ball. I was actually had a fractured ankle at the time in a cast, and healed well enough, and I actually ended up cutting it off and going dancing, you know, like at a nightclub. First time on the GC, you know, doing the thing, man. It was wow.
It was crazy.
It was so good. But so I checked it out, but I felt really good about Brisbane. His dad was over here, and his grandma and auntie, and we stayed with them like over a Christmas sort of New Year period. But I was just, you know, it relit this fire up under me that I was just like, there's so much more out here. You know, big city, big times, big fun, you know, a lot of opportunity was the main thing. But yeah, I felt good about Brisbane, you know. I love the sunny coast. It's an amazing place. Like Gold Coast is cool, you know. But there was something about Brisbane that felt quite homely. And then when I went back, I was like, yeah, I think I want to move over there, because I always wanted to. I was just in love with it. Like, the idea of Australia, you know, the golden beaches, the gorgeous blondes, things like that.
It's
Home
real.
and Away was the catalyst. I say
really?
this time and time again.
Home and Away was the catalyst.
Oh man, we used to watch that TV show. You know, that and Neighbours is pretty big over in New Zealand. You know, and just, you know, like you think that there's beaches just everywhere like that, which there is, you know, and there is some absolutely stunning girls over here.
Oh, amazing.
Ladies, I will say. But yeah, I think there was that. I always wanted to do it. And like I had some close friends, you know, we talked about it for a little bit, like one of my really good mates, and it just never really happened, you know. And so that was a catalyst once I got over that whole situation, which took a while because it dragged on a bit, you know, like, and I let it happen that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my own doing as well. You can blame other situations, but it is what it is. I let it keep happening. And so, I came over here, and that would have been the catalyst to me probably once I got over that just like, yep, I'm ready to do it. Found a job like online, you know, got the job straight away, just resigned, moved over, you know?
Yeah, I think sometimes a relationship can actually be, or the end of a relationship can be a cataclysmic shift to get people back on track. You know, you can get really way off track in where you're supposed to go, like your real purpose in life. You can have these breakups, and at first they're a bit like shattering, and then you change countries, change cities, change careers because of it, and it puts you back on path.
Exactly.
You know, and I think those things are sent to us to kind of go, hey, you're just a little bit off center here. Let me just try and get you right back. And it's the finding something that you love, like acting, that you're inspired by, that you're motivated by, that you don't give up on after 3 months, because including me, I've tried things and thought it was the thing, the purpose, right? If I ever write a book on purpose, because I'm working on a program to help people find their purpose, but it'll be called How I Found My Purpose ... again. Because I found like 4 things. I was like, I found it. And I'd start a program. So I'd start an online, you know, what do you call it, website or a Shopify store or whatever it was I was doing. Yeah. This is it.
And you better book that before someone else steals it.
Oh, geez, I better not say that.
It's all right. We're not live, so it's okay. You've got a few days to sort it out. Yeah.
Insert a different word when I say that book title.
Dot.
Well, there's probably about 50 million ebooks being released tomorrow. So
there's a lot, right?
Everyone's writing an ebook.
Oh man, everyone's doing podcasts these days, you know. Do you know there's 900,000 ranked podcasts in the world now?
Oh my.
It's gone crazy. It's the new form of media, you know, like it's huge, man.
And people love consuming podcasts.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. Well, the best thing is about it, like I listen to them in my car, you know, sometimes at work when I can get away with it. But it even replaced my music in the gym because I just got that addicted to listening to them, and I was just getting so much from it, so much information that it's just taken over. I'm cooking dinner, it's on, you know, like at home. I'm not even really watching TV anymore, you know. I still love a good movie or a TV show, you know. I get deep in the ones that I want to watch, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the art. But they're just a real consumable form of media now.
Whenever you want it.
You just hit play and away you go, you know, and just a vast, interesting guest, you know, like, I mean, I love the comedy podcast. Joe Rogan is my favorite if anyone else hasn't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's birthed a lot of podcasts in the world. And so that was a catalyst for me. But I mean, so we started talking about the different modules that you had, and you said about originally facing those fears and as part of the first sort of module, but just run us through, you know, the other modules that you have. How many modules have you got for a start and what you sort of go through? Yeah.
It's about 17 modules, but it is growing. I'll add things as they if they come to me. I don't want it to necessarily just leave it as a stale course that sits there forever and never gets edited. I'm even open to re-editing videos that are already completed based on feedback that I get, because I want to continually improve it. You know, but so conquering the fears is one of the practical worksheets, and then we go through and I have a worksheet called Breaking the Infatuation, which is that whole concept of listing things that you are infatuated with in someone else, thinking the things that you think someone else has that you don't have. Okay, which is ultimately what would occur to me when I was younger and going out and went to approach someone. the fact I had anxiety, number one, it was because in the past I'd been rejected in public settings, in very embarrassing public settings.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that was putting me in a situation that was triggering those memories without me knowing it.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, my mind was going, but hold on, when you were in grade 5, that girl rejected you and all these people laughed. And when you were in grade 7, that girl said no and this person said, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was being triggered by those things. So this particular module really focuses on, first and foremost, identify what you think someone has that you don't have and realize that you have it to the same degree, just in your own way, just in your own unique way. And also, are there any moments where you had, some rejection or something that created a bit of anxiety or sticks with you till this moment now?
Yeah.
And you go in and you flesh those moments out, and you can work through a process to gain a balance again. So they're not controlling you anymore. But ultimately, the course is realistically 50% practical, 50% learning, really that's sort of the deepest, most in-depth personal development stuff that I've been able to put together over the past few years. And through my own experiences, I kind of made the course, number one, getting feedback from people, because I kind of got a few people on board and said, look, what would you ultimately like? What do you struggle with? And talking to other coaches and going, what do people come to you for? Mainly, what kind of clients in terms of the relationship space, what do they say to you when you work with them? Talking to some of the clients I've worked with as well was pretty big. And then the other one was, what experiences have I had in my life that I didn't have tools for?
Yeah.
What did I wish I had when I was 19?
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where it is. I mean, in terms of runtime, I guess it's maybe a 4 to 5 hour video program. There's probably 4 to 5 hours of actual video.
Yeah. Which is quite consumable. Like that's quite easy. Like that's a digestible amount.
Absolutely. I didn't want to make it overwhelming, but I didn't want to make it too short. But all the content is delivered, I guess, in a way, my personality is very to the point and just hard hitting. And that's why I love the Dr. John Demartini. He delivers information a million miles an hour, but there's no fat in it. It's just hard, deep concepts, like the deepest concepts you could ever imagine. And I love that. And so that's how I sort of decided I wanted to deliver the course.
So is it mainly video tutorials or?
Yeah, mainly video. Whenever you're working from a workbook, you'll see my screen and my workbook, and I'll be talking over it.
Yeah.
And just literally walking you
you've
through
got a
it.
reference there that you can look up, you know where you're at.
Yes.
And then you're obviously relating to someone, which is the beauty of filming things these days as well. So you can see, you can visually see things, demeanors and the way it's spoke about it. It's an easy, more accessible thing for your mind to take in.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people want to see examples. So I go through examples, any of the workbooks I've done, because I guess I took it for granted that this work comes to me like second nature, but I've been doing it for a few years. And even Alison and my coach, they had a first look through it when I initially created it and finished it. They looked at it and they said, no, you aren't going in enough detail and you're just kind of assuming people just
can get
just
it
know
straight away.
And they go, you're asking some questions here that are a bit left of center for some people. So just take a step back, explain a little bit more detail and help people out with more examples. And so I did that.
Someone's not as advanced as you in this sort of self-help mindset.
But anyone can honestly do the course. Even if they didn't sit down and do the practical exercises at first, they could digest all the video content, all the interviews I did with Georgia, all the content that I just delivered to the camera. It's useful, know. And like I said, at least what happens is you'll get an aha moment or a bit of an awareness of something you didn't know about yourself.
Yeah.
It helps. Every bit of awareness will help moving forward, because at least you can go out there, start dating people and just be like, okay, I know what's happening here.
You can see in the situation as you're live, and that comes with knowing the material as well. And there's a repetitive thing with material that I think we only take in roughly I think it may be 15% or less than that visually, and through an audio program each time we listen to it. So say the thing's 5 hours long, you're only going to get a small portion of that. You're going to take in half an hour of material scattered across the material. So it's good to go over things, and having that accessible on a website or however you deliver the program is an important thing to keep going over. It's not just do it once and you think you've learned it, because you really haven't.
Absolutely.
How long did it take you to learn everything you do in life? It's repetitive. It's for me, hands-on and in the moment, or putting it into play in the field. is the best ability to be able to learn. Some people are better, in the classroom and things like that and learning like that by themselves or whatever. But I think really something comes from playing in the moment and seeing things. And you start to see those, when the material starts to work for you, you start to see those little situations where you probably would have fallen over beforehand and reacted to a certain situation. This time you just took a moment, took a breath, taking a breath, and okay, I know how to play this situation right now. And it's not being non-genuine, it's not playing the moment, the situation, but it's just having the ability and the tools and understanding to actually put it to practice,
Absolutely.
and yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have. And so that's what this has for you. You've set out for people. So where can they find this material? Where's the best place for them to go to? Your website?
Yeah, my website, peterpolley.com/perfect partner, or my Instagram's actually a great place to start. At Real Peter Polley is my Instagram handle, because I do have an ebook.
Yeah.
Shockingly, one of the 50 million ebooks out there. It's called 10 Dating Myths Busted and What to Do About It.
Okay.
The link to that book is in my Instagram URL
in
there.
Your bio.
In the bio, you just put your name and email. You grab the ebook for free.
Yeah,
It's 10 really practical things, 10 dating myths that you may or may not have in your life and what to do about it. Literally, okay, if you have this particular myth that you're holding on to, this is how you can overcome it, or this is the best way to play it next time you're in that situation. Or just read it and just go, oh man, those things actually do apply to me. I have been holding on to these 3 dating myths for the past 10 years. And that's why I haven't found someone who meets that criteria, because it's a myth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. So you're going with that.
Yeah. So probably the Instagram, at Real Peter Polley is my Facebook as well.
Okay.
I have similar information there. So
on your Instagram per se, or on your social media, do you have little video tutorials of, aspects or things that, situations that people generally come to in relationships and arise, and you have little videos there on your Instagram and things like that to ways around it? Is that to draw people in, and get them? Because I found that a really good thing with the 3% man is that my mate's like, hey, he's got videos on YouTube, and people coming to them with relationship questions or, anything along that, or why did this happen? Why did she leave me?
Why doesn't he love me?
Yeah, why don't they love me anymore? Throwing stones outside the window didn't work. That sort of thing. They have those little moments, and people write into him, and so he addresses them to them. And I think that's really where he makes sort of his money from, is that people read the material, and then they've got little questions about things, and this happened in this situation. So they write to him and ask him. It's probably not a huge fee, but I think some of it probably is too. And then he puts those videos up on YouTube, and so there was some that I could find accessible. You see that dramaticness, that thunder, and lightning in the background.
What does that mean?
The heavens are shifting.
We just had just thunder, as you just said.
I saw the flashes before. Yeah, it was going on. Dramatic.
Something's coming. Yeah.
We swear, guys, this isn't.
That wasn't planned.
Sounds.
Yeah, that's real thunder.
We're adding in here.
We're getting
real life, baby.
We're getting a real storm.
Maybe pull the curtain and have a look.
Yeah.
But so that was something that I found accessible. So I could go to those videos and have a look at them, and then I started to see these patterns straight away that I could apply to my own relationship and things that were happening. And that got me, okay, this guy's onto something. That got me in for a start. And then you're like, okay, I'll do the material, because the book itself, the audio book, or, you can get paid back, but who really does that these days? I fall asleep when I read like that, reading scripts at night. I'm like, doom.
I can't read on a phone either.
Yeah, if it's hard on your eyes.
I need a book if it's a book.
Yeah.
Paperback.
Yeah. But there's something very beneficial about actually reading properly, though. I'm not going to lie. But audiobooks I find are the easiest to consume for me personally, and time management. Time management is the word I was looking for. There you go. But yeah, that really got me in it, because it's like a 17-hour book? 7 hours, yeah, that's right.
7.
Jesus, it's been a while. I reckon I've probably done it over probably 8 or 9 times.
Wow.
Just to try and put to put it into practice, really get it. And, after you've done it once or twice, you can see things happening with everybody around you. So many relationships you can see, and not just, like friend to friend, and you can see these people reacting in this way. You're like, this shit's for real, man. Like,
That's
and
self-awareness
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It's a great thing to have, but like I said before, you got to actually be able to look inside yourself and want to self-develop, want to get better, want to grow, be vulnerable once again, and look within yourself and find these places where you can actually be a better person, and therefore roll on effect of better relationships in your life.
I love that you brought that up, because I used to share some of the personal development knowledge that I have to people.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I felt like I was talking to a wall a lot of the time, because I was almost forcing it on them. And I've come to realize that people will absorb the material when they're ready to hear it, if they're ready to hear it ever, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's their own process. That's going to be at their own pace. And sometimes you can plant a seed. So what I do now is I generally don't delve this deep day to day. I'll keep it fairly lighthearted, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to exert all that energy for that person to be like, oh yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But I think it's good to lay some seeds for people, because I've heard things that I'm not ready to hear, or maybe don't relate to me at that point in my life. And then 6 months or a year later, I'm like, oh yeah, that person said something about it. I'll go check that out. And I think that's the cool thing with personal development. If someone's sort of at a point that they're kind of ready to get into it, they might not be ready for the sort of the DeMartini stuff. That stuff's really, really heavy, but they could be ready for like some of the more introductory books, like what's an introductory, The Secret or The Power, that's like a gateway book into personal development, really more light-hearted stuff about like how you attract things in life and how the universe works and things like that. So, but I don't think don't ever force heavy PD onto people.
No, not at all, because that just creates an ingenuine moment as well. Yeah. And you're not going to get this, you're going to get some forced reaction out of that. And the worst thing you can do is force something in a relationship.
100%. And it's kind of ultimately, to put it black and white, if you're in a relationship now, let's just say someone's in it and one person's heavily into growth and development and the other person isn't. I hate to say it, but it is totally a person's choice how they want to spend their life. You don't have to be in a relationship if you don't want to be with that person. If you feel that you've really only got one physical life, well, some people believe we have more, but I won't get into that. That's totally different.
That's for another podcast.
That is a totally different podcast.
Yeah, I'm interested in that one.
I'll push a lot of buttons with that one. All I'm saying is you really have your one physical life if you want to pursue something. Like you said, you wanted to pursue acting, but certain people would turn around and say stuff about that. And what are you doing? Like, probably, what are you doing, man? Why are you doing that? Like, that's so stupid or whatever. And that's one of the hardest things I found the past few years, was breaking out of the 9-to-5 work and all of that stuff that I do, and doing something like this, like the program, or releasing something. It was because I was so concerned about the comments I'm going to get. Yeah. The support, that's subordination. I was still subordinating to friends and family and going, what are they going to think? Yeah. I mean, ultimately you get to a point where you just get so sick of thinking about that, and you just want to pursue it. But that's probably the number one reason people don't pursue what they want, because they're scared of what mum and dad and brother and sister and family are going to say when they turn around and go, I'm actually quitting my full-time job that I went to university for and I'm going to go overseas. And,
and the anxiety that builds up over that sort of that worry in that situation. And man, that's a tough thing. And I'm not going to lie, like I still battle with things, not probably that perception. I did have that perception originally, which can really be revved up by social media these days as well, and putting yourself out there. I mean, it's a great thing to have, but then you get a few comments and they're really negative, which you see bad things happen to young people these days that aren't really developed enough in their own mind to understand these situations, why people react like this, and that can have a very, very dangerous effect on people. And once again, I spoke about this with Anissa the other day. It's social media is such a great way to connect, but it's also it's a tool, and you need to work that tool like any job you do to work for yourself. It's not a way of life, and that's the thing that I think number one that so many people get so the energy put into, is that just this is life on that social media now, and every like matters, like it's life or death, or every comment. And so that's it's all for you to put yourself out there and put things out there you love doing. It's a beautiful thing, artistic, whatever the way you do it. But at a certain point in your life, like you say, you got to look at it and go, man, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
I'm doing me. I got to do this. And it's a little bit of a selfish thing, but it's not really. It's just you living your own life. You've only got one, as we said. And you got to live it the way you want to live it. You know, you can't live it around other people and their comments and what they're going to think and what they're going to say and who they're going to tell. And you know what? It's just exhausting to worry about that for that long. It's more energy that you can put into a positive thing, and that's going for the things that you want to do.
Exactly, because they take a lot of work on their own. For you to get one idea off the ground, for anyone watching this to get one idea off the ground takes an immense amount of energy.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And I would recommend focusing on just one thing to start with, because I got into that, you know, the perpetual, I got a bunch of ideas, I'm just going to go for all of them, then none of them go anywhere. But just focus on the one that's the most inspiring to you.
Yeah.
But people who put you down and condemn you for following your purpose or following something that you're really inspired to do, they're probably only doing it because they resent the fact that they're not doing it.
Yeah.
They're stuck in the rut.
That's easier for them to go at you than go at themselves.
That's right. It's their stuff. And this is what I like to sort of say to people that I'm speaking to who are struggling with some of these things is any of the haters online, that's their shit. That they're dumping on you.
Yeah.
I know people take it as a personal attack, and it's hard not to, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it is,
but it's their crap that they're just spreading around and they got to work on that. And that's what a hater ultimately is.
Yeah. And it's trolling, you know, like they're just trying to get that rise out of people because they know they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And it's just like it's a thing you can learn with like a bully. Like a bully is always going to pick on generally the little person or the so-called weaker person who actually probably turns out to be the strongest person because they take it day in, day out.
Yeah.
But if you react to them, you know, like in certain ways, that's feeding that thing that they want more and more.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you just ignore it and just keep going on with it and just brush it off like it is nothing, and it takes a while, it takes guts to do that from the start and real heart. But when you can do that, usually they're just going to move on to someone else. Because they see that it's not you're not budging them. It's not affecting. They're not getting that rise of energy that they want from you.
Exactly. Just block or delete. Or look, I mean, there's always going to be the people there who really push your buttons. And as I touched on at the start of the podcast, it's an opportunity for you to go, okay, so like, why is this pushing my buttons exactly? What is it specifically? This is really bothering me. And you can actually kind of find where that stems from and work through that, again, using the method or using a similar tool to the method. So it's an opportunity for growth. And by the way, haters can be good. It can be good to have haters in relation to it can, if you use it in the right way, it can push you to do more.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to suppress you every single time. Now, I think the first few haters that anyone gets, it's a bit hard because, you know, the comments, you're not used to it. But then again, if you look closely enough, it'll be someone saying, hey man, you're a fucking idiot, blah, blah. And someone below it will be like, dude, I really love your content.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be that support there too.
Yeah.
But normally we ignore the support.
I know that. And that's the thing, you know, like you could have like 30 comments or what have you, or, you know, 300 likes or whatever it is. And then those one that's negative is what you focus on. And it's just when it's at that point, you just got to stop looking at the comments and reading into all that and just keep putting it out there and just letting it go. Once it's out there in the social media verse or wherever it is that you're putting it out or in live, just keep going.
Absolutely.
Just keep going.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do. Just keep jumping those hurdles. You knock one over, you pull it back up. You learn, oh, why did I do that? Why did I knock that over? What can I do better to not knock that over next time? Boom. You jump and do it at a time.
Exactly.
You just keep leaping forward ahead.
Mm-hmm. What do you love? What are you inspired to do? Create the content, get it out there. Like Corey Wayne, he's got a whole bunch of, like I said, I love the idea of, that's why I create content on Instagram or Facebook. It's to create free content, free value.
Yeah.
To sort of, it's not even just about bringing people in. It's like, well, if it helps someone, great.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that ultimately would just sit on a computer somewhere that no one would ever hear.
Oh, exactly.
So might as well do a video
and
of it.
And see, that's the thing. You have a tool, you have an ability to put that out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, social media and the phone and everything like that and laptops and what have you is a beautiful way to connect with a vast majority of people at one certain time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a tool. Not a way of life.
It's powerful,
Yeah.
and I think it's best to embrace it because a lot of people who condemn it and hate it, but it is a necessity. It is the 21st century. It's how things are. Things are online now. It is the most efficient way to deliver information. There's nothing more efficient. So I don't love it. Like you said, I've barely been on it. It's been like a huge shift for me, and that's why I had to use that fear process in my program to release it.
Get your material
because I was
out there.
just so nervous about being on camera, getting on camera, talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, those first few videos, I probably did 8 takes, deleted the whole lot of them, and did a ninth, and it's the ninth one I kept, and I still hated it. You know? Like,
oh man, it takes several years.
Yeah.
To actually, it takes a while to get used to being on camera and forgetting that the camera is actually there, but you still need to know where it is because you're using eye lines, you're using this and that. Depends if you're just talking straight to camera or you're actually acting in a scene. It's something to get over at the start, and then having the confidence to just go, yeah, sure, hit record. I don't even give a fuck. Yeah. I'm here to do my thing. And you do that, but then after a while, being self-critical. Now that's like the next level where you get a few years in and you're like, okay, once you get to that point of being comfortable with yourself on screen and what you're delivering, your own voice, because it always sounds way weird. You're like, do I look like that from that angle? Like,
exactly.
Oh shit. Exactly. Do some extra crunches in the gym, like stop eating those donuts. But then when you can get to that point of being self-critical, that's a huge revelation for yourself. And then you can start learning a lot easier once again with those things that you're doing. You're like, see what I did there. I kind of know what I did. Okay, I need to just let that go because I'm doing some weird thing with my hand or whatever, or the way I'm holding it. Or the one thing I think the most key thing ever with public speaking, with being on camera, what have you, is your breathing. Your breathing is the most vital thing, because if you're breathing weird and you're like gasping for breath, how are you going to spit out a line or say anything remotely right? It's fine to take a moment to take a breath, get yourself, but you got to remember to goddamn breathe. You see people sometimes almost pass out on camera because they're forgetting to breathe and they're just trying to spit out the lines like it is a sentence, and it's all going all over the place, and it's like Speedy Gonzalez. And it's just not natural. You know what I mean? You naturally breathe. You don't just spit out words when you're doing something like that. So that's right. It's hard to learn and get over that at the start, but and
combine all those things. So it's like I've done a little bit of research on breathing, and there's one particular guy, I actually don't know his name to be honest, but he's taught Tony Robbins how to breathe. He taught what's that movie with Lady Gaga and that guy, and he's a singer. Bradley Cooper. He taught Bradley Cooper.
What is A Star Is Born? I've never actually seen it, but supposedly it's pretty good. Yeah.
Very good movie. He taught
the old Wim Hof. I love this. You know about Wim Hof? Breathing technique? This
isn't the guy. I know Wim Hof, but they're the guy who taught Bradley Cooper how to speak in A Star Is Born. Yeah, okay. He talks about how, you want to, when you're speaking, it's when you're breathing out, and you want to have the tonalities and use the hand movements, because hand movements are so much more engaging. And
I wonder if that's more because he was singing a lot in that film, because Bradley
he had to
Cooper's
change his voice.
Awesome actor. And I'm sure he would have known how to breathe on camera a long time before that.
He did. He was the voice actor for Bradley Cooper in the movie. So because Bradley Cooper had to change his voice entirly for that movie.
But it was, like, he was very southern, was it? Or?
And just a different tone.
Yeah.
He spoke in a different tone.
Oh, hear that thunder.
Oh, that's
rolling.
That came in on Bradley Cooper.
It did.
So that's the tone that he spoke in.
I think he's annoyed you for saying that he had a voice coach. And
somebody's probably going to reply to this and go, no, he did not change his tone whatsoever.
I'm sure there'll be people. People love that movie.
I know. I'm going to get a lot of haters for assuming that this guy trained Bradley Cooper. I'm pretty sure the guy who trained Tony Robbins trained Bradley Cooper, but it doesn't really matter. It's basically about combining 3 or 4 different things to improve the way that you speak. Not sure.
No, I'm not sure.
It's not there. I had to do a bit of digging to find it. But it's a whole part of being on social media and getting content out there, right? Yeah. I could write the greatest content, life-changing content. If I'm not engaging and people aren't going to listen, see you later, done.
Yeah. So that's quite a process for you to go through then for yourself to actually put that, because I know, you're not on social media. You're never a guy that was going to jump in front of a camera to do that. So. No,
and that just actually shows how many things I had to overcome just to get to the point where I was willing to put myself on camera. I couldn't even believe when I was doing it that it was happening. And a lot of people watching this don't necessarily know all my journey, because we haven't got 4 hours to talk about the past 5 years. But I've ultimately... It was just, I wanted to stay in obscurity, stay unknown, stay as a nobody, and just basically sit there and do all this personal development, go and do seminars and get coaching and read books and just hoard it all because I was too scared, right? Yeah. But ultimately, it's pretty liberating getting out there. There's still the fears, but it feels good.
Yeah.
I'd rather be out there than
stuck with it in your own confiance of your own mind. Yeah, exactly. And letting that anxiety overrule you from actually wanting to put things out there. And now you're doing it. You feel good about what you're putting out?
I feel good, really good about the content.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. I'm also happy with the gradual improvement each one of the videos I've made in.
Yeah.
So if I look at the very first video, which was only 6 weeks ago, versus to the latest one, I'm more relaxed. The tone, my tonality is getting better. My speaking's getting better. I'm using my hands more. It's more as if, because at first I had to rely on sort of reading scripts and creating scripts. Now I can speak from the heart a little bit more, and that's how you connect with people.
It's more engaging that way.
You know, that's how people connect, is being real and authentic. You know?
Yeah. So we went through a couple of the modules there, but what are the sort of, I mean, what else is there to this, the core group with the modules? If you were just going to put it in sort of a bit of a simple term, like you got 1 to 17 or what have you, do you remember, do you know exactly, like how does it go? Like you're looking at yourself, you're facing fears, looking at those relationship things or why you may behave the way you are, to like, is there a process where you're delving deeper within yourself to find out why these things happen as the modules go through?
Yeah, it definitely ramps up. I'm not sure if you just scroll down on that page. If you go all the way to the bottom, I used to have a screenshot of the course.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I recently updated this to make it a bit more clear, and I've gotten rid of it, which really helps me out.
That's right. We're looking at Pete's website, Perfect Partner website program, Partner program.
Yeah. So
Triple P.
The triple P with PP.
I like it.
So it's 5 Ps ultimately.
Yeah.
I guess in simplistic terms, I bring people in, I introduce them to the course. I start off with finding out what's important to them, which ultimately is a version of saying someone's values. It's what you gravitate towards, what motivates you, what inspires you, what are the things in life that you most think about, that you'd like to do the most, that there's evidence in your life that you're kind of following through with. So for me, it would be personal development, because I do it every single day and I'm drawn to it. I'm inspired by it and motivated by it. It would be creating courses. I do that every day. And it'd be my health and well-being and grooming. The sort of the major things.
Yep.
So I take people in, I go, okay, let's find out what's important to you, which is really critical, because ultimately later in the course, you link things back to that.
Yeah.
So when you find the value in being single, you go, how can being single actually help me achieve all these really important things to me? And so once we find that out, I go in and I introduce people to the 7 areas of life, and I say to them, what goals do you want to set in those areas? So I'm trying to get people, number one, first and foremost, understanding what's important to them, what goals they want to set. Let's start with that. Let's start empowering you as a person. And then through the next 5, 10, whatever modules it is, I talk about, like I said, I talk about the patterns. I get people, I introduce them to things like the fantasies, infatuations, the things that they may not necessarily be aware of. I even bring in Alison for a module on affirmations and visualizations and how you can use them to the most powerful effect. And you know, that can be an eye-opener itself. I even give people a few affirmations related to finding someone that they can use. And then the workbooks are spread out throughout the entire course as you work through them. So I will always say to people, start with yourself. Even if you don't do the course, whatever, it's totally fine. But I think if someone came to me and said, where do I start? Like, I really want to find someone. But I can't. And I've been in that position, right? Really desperately. I would say it's counterintuitive, but just find something you're inspired by. If you can, follow that. Figure out what you want to achieve in all the areas of life, set a plan, set a goal, get empowered, get inspired, and then people will get drawn to you. And you said that at the start. You said it's amazing when you meet someone who has a goal, who's inspired, who's following it, who's kind of like, this is what I'm doing and I don't give a fuck who gets in my way. That's like, whoa, like that draws you in, right? So that is the number one place I would say you would need to start. Focus on you. Other people would be drawn to you after that, because if you haven't got your life together and you've got no package to give to anybody, why would anyone want to date you?
You're just trying to take from them to make yourself happy.
Exactly. Because you'd be saying to that person, well, what do you have to offer me, when you've got nothing to offer in return?
Yeah.
You know, so if you're stuck in a rut, hate your job, hate your friends, hate everything about your life. You might want to turn that around first, and then create an environment where bringing somebody into that, they'd be kind of keen to come in.
Yeah, well, and it's not even about bringing someone into that environment. You're attracting someone into your own environment, and it's often a very positive person to be attracting into your environment as well. Because, you know, positives attract another positive thing, you know, and if you're really working at yourself to do that.
Geez, I tell you, that lightning, you didn't see it, but wow.
Yeah, I could see the flash. Yeah.
Well, that was a monster.
Thunder Buddies for life.
New name for the podcast, Thunder Buddies.
That'll be the new one, just done in your PJs.
Dan's Thunder Buddies.
Oh, Jesus, that could have a really turn effect. But guys at work will be like, Jesus, what that's going to be like. They know what I'm like at work, you know. I like to keep it lighthearted, you know, a little slap on the ass doesn't hurt nobody.
People click on the podcast and be disappointed with the content we're given if we name it.
There'll be some that'll go these ways. I know that for a fact. Yeah. But that's cool. So you seem like you've taken what you've learned in life and some things that have happened to you when you were younger, you said, with past relationships and with possibly your father and, you know, relationships with that. And you've worked through these things and you've found a lot of positive things and you've grown as a person. Is this really what kind of propelled you to want to create this own program? Like what's been the catalyst for you to do this?
It's probably what I touched on earlier is number one would be that I've known for years I'm dissatisfied with what I do that creates my main income, which is in construction. And there is like a something inside of me that constantly saying, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. This is the course you're supposed to take. And it's in personal development. And I'm certain of that now. And it is creating products. I'm certain of that as well. And that was the big catalyst. But it's just, I really want to help people grow and expand their sphere of awareness, because I didn't have someone who could do that for me when I was in my teens and in my 20s. And I spent so many years stuck in a rut, basically. So many years down on myself, not able to find someone, disappointed, didn't have clarity in life, was subordinating constantly to mum and dad because I went to uni and got a job in construction to make them happy. I just want to really open people's eyes that there is a totally different world out there where you can do something you enjoy and you can attract someone and you can be inspired and make money from it. You know, way more money than you could make in a 9-to-5, because there's such a limit on a 9-to-5 job. When you do something you love and you're creating programs, you're reaching millions of people all around the world 24/7, 365. You're not just going to an office 9 hours a day and helping the people around you. And that's the limitation of a job, isn't it? You can only help that little group of people. Where online you're reaching millions. So I'd say that they're the two big things. And I want to just continue creating things that inspire me and that will help people. And like I said, I'm working on a purpose course. I've been working on it for about 2 years now. I just don't want to release it until I'm really confident with it. But that's the next step, because if you find the purpose, the partner comes. You know what I mean? You'll be fighting them off. They'll be lining up for you. Seriously. It's just a different way to think about it, you know?
And it's also a thing that for a while there, I was connecting pretty well and, you know, getting dates and things like that. But recently, you know, went on a few dates and, you know, seeing someone and stuff like that. But I found it being very intellectual stimulating with these ladies that ones that I was on these dates with. And that was a huge thing for me, because I think there was a lot of attraction level that I would be going on previous to then. And these girls were hot, ladies, sorry. But they really, that was bringing something out of me that I was challenged to want to be better. You know what I mean? And in that situation. And I don't know whether I was fixated a little more on the attraction level and the looks or something. And I was seeing ladies that were a little, you know, bit more younger than my age, you know, like, and things like that, and like maturity levels or what have you. But that was a huge thing in realizing those situations and letting them be what they are. And that was a really relieving feeling. And I was like, I think I'm over this young girl thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For lack of a better term of it. And that only came with obviously facing those things within you that you were doing before previously in relationships and pushing them away or what have you, and it's a work in progress. Like I can't look, dude, I'm single now still, I've been single the majority of my life, but I'm still having a good time. I'm still working things out, but I feel like I'm getting closer and closer day by day, month by month of attracting that right partner into my life as well. But I will look at your material because I've looked at bits of it, but you're doing a lot of things in life. It's hard to focus on certain aspects, but the relationship thing is very important because it affects your whole life and how you're going about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And your purpose, as we've spoken about.
Totally. And it's the most efficient way to go through life is with a partner, especially if you're aligned with what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't have separate things, but two people aiming towards one goal is you're going to get there a lot quicker, right?
For sure.
I mean, I know with Alison, I'm just sort of blessed that she's into personal growth as well. We have an idea of sort of where our lifestyle is going to be. We've sort of mapped it out. We've seen how much it's going to cost, where we would live, what we would have, and that's another critical area that I feel that genuinely no one's really even spoken about is planning your life, planning what you want, how will you get there. The yearly plans are great, but what about the 5-yearly, 10-yearly, 50-year plans? It's just, and it sounds crazy sometimes even when I say it, but in the community, it's called master planning for your life, ultimately seeing what's the big thing you want, and if in my sort of, to give you an example, yes, I've released one course and I have a second one, but I've got 7 others I've already pegged that I'd like to, over time, could be take 20 years to release them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's sort of like more of a master plan.
Yeah.
Get yourself a bit organized, because I know for a while there I lived pretty much day to day, and the more dissatisfied I was with my job and my life, the more I couldn't even see a week ahead. I'd just be like, I just got to get through today because work sucks. Got to get through next week. Work sucks. When you find something that's inspiring, you immediately think bigger picture. You think further ahead in time. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people battle with. I know that I have as well. I found a passion in something that I wanted to do and I was very interested in, but it's like, you need money to live. And if you're not living at home, if your parents or what have you, or a little job here and there, you need that 9 to 5 generally to get your income in. And you know what you want to do. You've done jobs. You've had paid gigs doing it, as I have with acting and things like that. But I'm still working a 9 to 5 job now, and basically working 2 or 3 jobs, if you want to say that. Doesn't always pay. I've made some decent money over the years with acting, but not enough to keep you going without that 9 to 5 job. So what sort of first something like advice you can be giving to someone to try and break free from that restraints of really depending on that 9 to 5 and really realizing that they don't have to, or a process that you would suggest to someone to sort of go through to start looking at the ways out of that situation?
Okay, I could give this 2 pieces of advice. One is I'm currently doing it.
Yeah.
One is write down everything that you dislike about your day-to-day job. So I like to focus on, with the construction work that I do on the side, is the specific things that bother me the most that I have to do. Okay, and how are those things helping me achieve my larger goal, which is getting full-time into the personal development space, releasing more products. So if you can sort of stop resenting all those daily unloved actions that you've got, you don't go to work with such a that. And I'm working on getting through that list and seeing how, hey, the job with all this money and I become actually a bit more diligent, oddly, but I become more diligent with the job. I become really like super hyper focused with the time off I have because it's more compressed.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually get more done sometimes, which is weird.
You're making the most of that downtime that you have to actually achieve that bigger goal that you want. You see that as being an income. Like, okay, cool, I got to go do this, and I'll do it well because I pride myself on what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but it's an end goal thing, and having that push you through that 9 to 5 to keep going.
Exactly. And how's that money? You can talk about the money. You can go, okay, how's all that cash helping me achieve it? Well, I can put more into advertising. I can hire a better advertiser. I can allow all these things, all these programs that cost money to maintain them, to keep them online. I can keep them online for a lot longer, etc. So you go through and just work out all those things. But if you can see what the unloved actions are and how they help you achieve your goals, that's one step. The other thing is, the big piece of advice I'd give someone who's doing that or in our sort of position is create something that you personally want to get out, that you will enjoy. For you, it could be literally just a mini acting course. Nothing huge. It could be an hour, 2 hours, just focusing on helping people improve their acting. Give them a bunch of tidbits and information. Package it up, get it online, sell it for $99, $49. It doesn't really matter. That would be the most practical bit of information I could give, is get out there with something, right? Because you're building a brand. But then if people connect with you and they like you, where are they going to go? They got anything to buy off you? Because a lot of the time you follow someone online, you're just like, this person's great. What do they have? What do they sell? I want to get something from them. So get something online. And the other thing would be, the realistic thing is you got to be on social media pretty much every day and create a presence over the next 24 months. There's no other way around it. You got to get in front of your phone. You got to stick it in front of your face, and you got to start sharing. And people need to find out the real you and what you're really about, and they got to connect with you. So there's some, I guess, practical information, practical things that people can do pretty much immediately to sort of step away slowly, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's hard even for you. I don't know about you, but even for me at this point, I would love to be doing this full time. Just the transition's taking longer than I thought it would.
But you still got to work at it and stay dedicated to the course, right?
I
mean, that's the thing with this podcast. Like I do a lot of acting and filmmaking, producing as well, writing my own stuff, create content. But once I found podcasts and I realized how beneficial they were for me, and I was learning so much and taking so much from them, I was like, you know what? I can talk the house down, and I can connect with people very easily and have great relaxed conversations like we're having now about certain topics. And I know certain people in very interesting fields. Why not create a podcast, And it wasn't as easy as just doing that. I had to do a lot of research over months before I started this podcast and getting the right audio gear and getting the right equipment and learning how to use it, And it's like, not having, say, a budget there straight away to pay someone that's, a sound engineer to straight get on board and, do this. So I had to learn a lot myself, but you can do it with Google now. You can learn so much, and you feed through the bullshit. There's a lot of bad advice, good advice, but you can generally see what's good. And it's just about creating that. And I didn't want to half-ass it. I didn't want to put out shit content. And because I've done that with certain things when I was so, oh my God, I got to put stuff out there because I love this, like with my acting and stuff and web series that I did early on or what have you. And I absolutely love the process and wouldn't change it for anything because I loved creating content and putting it out there. But for me, that's why I wanted to do the podcast. It's the same way with acting and things like that. I mean, it's a great art form, mainly with the acting, but it's producing art. It's producing content that people can relate to and you can connect with people on just such a large basis. And they can get whatever they get from it, They may only listen to one, they may only listen to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but eventually they're going to find something on here. And it's about having interesting guests like yourself coming on here and just talking about their journey in life, because it's a fascinating thing, the process that we go through. And it's about the ability to be able to talk about it all the time, and to be, open up and say these things because everybody's going through it, no matter how much you stop and you think it's only you. It's ridiculous how many people are going through the same struggles that you are day in, day out. They may not show it. They may not address it themselves, but by talking about it, by communicating, you really can see that within people and you can get something from that. And then they can look at themselves and go, you know what? It's okay for me to tell my friend about this, I shouldn't really be worried about what they think. They're my friend for a reason. And if they're not, then they can get out of my circle because it's not building a strong circle around me. And that is an awesome thing to have, and it takes time to get that,
Yeah, it does.
And the right people around you with the right energy and they're going towards the same things as you are. And they're trying to, and you can push each other further like you and Alison do for yourselves. And that's a beautiful thing to have in a loving partner, but you can also have that in a, less intimate sort of way, but you can have an intimate connection with your friends and that can also push you towards great things, and that's a huge thing, especially like finding that community, like say for example, when I started the acting thing, and making films with the same people all the time or web series or this and that and creating the content is that you get to know one another really well and you're pushing and bouncing off each other, that energy thing, it can be very positive, like to have that around you, and it boosts you up when you're lower, you know, and you're working in conjunction with each other. It's not just stealing that energy from this person to get what I want out of it, which a lot of people do too.
Totally.
And I've seen that so many times, but they quickly show their hand when they're in those situations. You pretty quickly can pick it out. And it's about finding that right crew, that right crowd, that right circle around you can be so beneficial to what you're trying to do. It doesn't help you to close off yourself to the world and other people around you, because you've got something beautiful inside you to give to the world. Whatever it is you want to do. Yeah. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter how little, how small, how big it actually is. You can do it and you can put it out there in the universe, and that will provide, you know, firm believer in that.
Yeah. Well said. That's beautiful. Exactly. No matter how big or how small, I really love that. Yeah, it's true. You know, and that's why I think some people may not find exactly what they love to do, because they think it's going to be some grandiose thing, like, you know, be a Tony Robbins of the world or whatever. It doesn't have to be that. You can be an accountant and you love it. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It can be anything on this planet.
If numbers do it for you, then
do it. Yeah. I mean, if you feel inspired by it and you go to work and go, I love it, don't judge it. Do it.
Oh, it's the best thing in life. Like,
yeah,
you know, there's nothing worse than doing something that you don't enjoy, you know, and you can take pride in everything that you do. You know, if you've got great self-worth, you know, and pride in what you're doing, then you can find, you know, very positive things within what you're doing for, say, work, you know. But I think it's everybody's ultimate goal to doing something they love and getting paid for it, right?
Absolutely.
And there is a way, you
there
know,
always
it's
is.
just, you got to work hard to find it. And hard work is probably, you know, it's the most underrated thing. But I mean, I think everybody knows, and that's when you find out what you're really made of. How much do you want it? How hard are you willing to work? What are you willing to sacrifice to make that happen?
Oh my God, so true.
And it's time. And it may not be going out for this drink or that dinner with that friend or going to do this event or go and party here or what have you, you know, when you've got fucking work to do. And that work, you got to see, you know, that's going to help you go and go further. They might still be partying 5 years down the track, but where are you going to be? Where are you going to be if you don't go to that party and you start going to this, you know, and you're not always, it's all about that balance though. It's a fine line.
You don't have to lock yourself
away. You want to
be
social.
Yeah.
You want to be out there engaging and connecting with people, because you learn so much from life, and life imitates art imitates life. You know, it's a huge expression. They go, you know, they say in the creative community, but it's just so goddamn true.
Absolutely. I'm reading a book at the moment called Mastery by Robert Greene. Okay. And it, if we actually pull it up here, it goes in depth as to some of the greatest masters in this world through music and dance, and how they got to where they are. So like the Mozarts of the world, you know, the greatest of the greats, the masters. 17 and a half hours if someone wants to grab that off Audible. I've probably got 6 hours to go. Absolute doozy of a book, this one. And what you just said about working hard, that some people assume that these greats, these masters, were born as masters. It's not true. There was one particular guy who wanted to be a fighter pilot, and he actually wasn't that good as a fighter pilot. But he demanded that his instructor take him up and basically just destroy him, just make him do the most complex maneuvers all the time, till the point that he's going to be sick. Just push him hard all the time. He ended up being in the top 3 in his class, but he had to work for it. It wasn't natural, you know. And some of these people, they break through like 10 years after they started, and they were pretty much a student for that 10 years. And then they found their own flavor, their own, you know, sprinkling of themselves, you know what I mean? Which is ultimately, when you release a program or a book or whatever, it's kind of like trying to get a version of yourself out, because realistically, a lot of people creating content is a version of another person's content, really. I mean, it's not generally going to be a great breakthrough or discovery, because there's been a lot of great breakthroughs, and a lot of the content out there around business especially, it's just another spin. It's a different version of business. Nothing's really changed in business for a long time. It's ultimately, we have a customer, and you're providing a service. At its core, it's business.
I think it's finding your own way with it though. It's like, I could take this podcast, for example, is that it was probably birthed by wanting to do it and all the things that I've spoken about anyway, but also with listening to Joe Rogan and getting a lot from that. And it's great. It's one of the best podcasts in the world anyway. He's getting more views put together than Howard Stern and Jimmy Fallon on Tonight Show and all that. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Wow, I didn't know it was that big.
Crazy.
Whoa.
Crazy. It's the biggest media form. His podcast is huge.
How many views per podcast do you think he's getting?
Millions. It would be hard to keep track of it because you've got YouTube, you've got all the different platforms that he has it hosted on.
Wow, look, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
1.3 from 2 days, 1.3 million.
And that's in 3 days.
And just 3
And that's just YouTube.
Oh,
It's ridiculous. But he is the epitome of awesome and interesting guests, you know what I mean? But it's about, for me with this, it's having a blueprint and knowing what direction I kind of want to go through with it, but being ballsy enough to let it just develop and see what it comes to, because I think that's the beautiful thing about, you know, art or doing something like this is that you find your own way with it and what works for you. And that's what you say, that there's a blueprint for businesses and things like that, but you really gotta let yourself develop and be that special thing, you know, like, because what it is that you're selling, everybody can sell, but if you let it truly organically grow and develop into something, you end up finding your own self within it.
Yes.
And that's what's generally going to attract people to your product or what you're trying to do.
totally. And your story. Like, it's so critical. Whoever's watching this, if they want to start something up or get themselves out there, because I'm trying to use this advice, is speak from the heart as much as possible. Tell your story the way it is as much as possible. People can smell bullshit a mile away. And if you try and be fake, you're not going to get away with it very long. And you can't hold up a fake life. You know how many of these Instagrammers are showing themselves with jets and Lambos, but they live in a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, it's $150 per week rent or something. And it just doesn't match
Just
up quite
flexing
right.
for the gram.
Exactly. It's just flexing for the gram.
Yeah.
Now, there is, oddly enough, some value in beauty. There's a tremendous amount of value in beauty because that's why these girls and guys, but mainly the Insta babes who have 5 million views, and you flick through and they're actually not providing content as such. They're providing value in their beauty because we're admiring who they are, right? Why else would they have 5 million followers and be making $250,000 a month from
Showing the ass.
showing their ass? Exactly. Building the ass.
Yeah.
Gets you
That's
a
still
huge
putting
following.
the hard work to get
That's
in there.
putting the hard work,
Unless
right?
they get in the plastic surgery and stuff, and that's just money.
That's just not exactly the endorsements and stuff like that. And I know some people personally who may or may not ever watch this, but who condemn them because like they're providing no value to society. Probably a little bit. I don't really care. Like go get it. I mean, you're an Instagram babe.
Oh,
Go smash it.
hats off to anyone who can do it. Whatever way, you got to find your own lane in life, because it's slowly narrowing to a 5-lane highway, and there's so many cars on the road.
And things are evolving
Yeah.
constantly. I find it hard to, even myself now just starting, things are evolving so quickly on social media. Things that worked a year ago don't work anymore.
You got to stay upbeat with it. But I think that's what you said before, is that if you can find that thing that you love so much, or that you really feel like it's a quality thing you're giving out there, and whether you feel, you hold on to that and you're putting your heart into it and you're being real, because real recognize real, and people will get attracted to it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You can't keep doing this, and you can put a front on for so long, but eventually the mask is going to fall off and people are going to see you're full of shit.
Totally.
And then they're just going to go off you straight away and you're done. So if you can be the realest you can be, and you put that out there and you just keep doing you and keep doing it and keep creating content, people are going to come. They're just going to be naturally attracted to what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's going to create and just going to have something from it. But having those tools as well to understand how to market that properly and let the dominoes fall once you do eventually go viral, or whatever happens to you, you know, that really gets you noticed or what have you, with whatever you're trying to do. You need to be smart about and research about how I'm going to play this off next. Like what's going to be the next domino to fall, because as soon as I'm up there in the spotlight, I've only got a limited 15 seconds of fame or what have you, you know, for it to actually capitalize on that and really turn it into your full-time job, where you can make something out of this and you can be creating content and people getting something from it, also helping people, which is a beautiful thing. But you can help yourself as well and really create something for yourself and create a life and a business model and things like that can play off and have you sitting pretty for the rest of your life, so you don't have to go back to that 9-to-5 job that you don't want to be at.
Absolutely. There are people who have turned what they love from 0 to 6 figures in a year easily. I know a few people who do what they love. They've created a ton of content, let me just say, over years.
Yeah.
So that's them putting in the hard work and them showing up every day, right? So that wasn't just handed to them. And they've got products online and they've got a huge following now, but very loyal following. And they're doing tremendously well, let's just say. I mean, far and beyond what really you could ever dream of making as under a salary sort of thing. It's their lifestyle. But I want to break a sort of a fantasy that once you do what you love and all that, it's going to be so easy breezy. You'll probably work longer hours than you're doing now in your 9 to 5. Just that you'll be more motivated to do it. It's not that when the you flick the switch and you've got these followers and they're buying off you and they love you and they enjoy your content, that you're not going to have to sit down and work 10, 12 hours a day. You still got to do the work, you know, all that goes. You got to maintain it.
Do the work.
And the work will work.
It's that hard work. And you put it in and it will pay off. Eventually it will. You'll get knockbacks every now and then. And that's what you learn from where you did something wrong and what you can do better next time. Pick yourself back up. Yeah. Dust it off. And just go again. Just keep working hard.
Absolutely.
Just going at what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing, Pete.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm going to get stuck into the material. I hope you guys do at home as well. Everyone that's listening, watching the podcast.
Cheers, man.
Once again, where can they get everything from on your website?
Yeah, from the website, peterpolly.com/perfectpartner, or @realpeterpolly is my Facebook and Instagram handle.
Yep.
I'd recommend starting there because you can absorb some free content, get a link to my ebook, read the ebook, go from there.
Yep.
No hard sells, no false timers that, this deal's going to end in 20 minutes. None of that bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just content and a product. And if it resonates, go for it. If you want more information, just contact me directly on Instagram or Facebook. I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Love what you're doing, brother.
Thanks, man.
Keep making it, helping people. It's awesome.
You too, man. Keep going with this. I love this podcast. I love the content. I think the things you're going to do with this are amazing, and the guests are going to provide incredible value to your listeners. And I just hope people are happy to digest the longer form content, because that's a tough obstacle. Some people just want the quick stuff.
People have a quick attention span these days, but if you create quality, material, people will get onto it eventually. It took me a while to get into podcasts, but once I was deep, and that's what going deep with Dan Good. And that's what we've just done.
There we go.
Put it here, brother.
Oh man, thanks so much.
Good to have you here, man. Come back. We'll talk again.
I'd love to.
Awesome.
All right.
Woo! We did it. And that's the end. Another podcast in the can. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening and supporting the podcast. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, Going Deep with Dan Good, or my personal account, Dan_Good. And also follow us on YouTube. That would mean a lot. There's a lot of platforms that we have this on, iTunes, Spotify. A follow means the world, especially if you can share it with your own friends and everything that you've got from the podcast, and maybe they can get something from it too. Thank you, everyone.